Yeah, just about to speak to Paul Fincham. He's the composer behind Reason to Leave. Congratulations.
Thank you
for joining us in Milan.
Thank you.
I was about to, the first question was going to be, can you give some of your background? But I'm going to get to that because
Okay.
I want to ask this question, which always intrigues me about composers. How on earth do you compose from nothing? Where does it come from?
Yeah, it's a good question. You get the kernel of an idea, just the kernel of an idea, normally at the piano, in my case, not necessarily, sometimes just in my head when I'm out and about, sometimes at the computer. And you stumble on an idea which you think, that's quite interesting.
Right.
And then you develop it.
Right.
And it might happen quickly, that might take some time. But it starts, and you never know where it's coming from, you never know when it's going to be there. Most of the time, you're looking for it and it's not there. But just every so often, there's something there you think is interesting.
Well, just say, I don't know, 5 notes, 10 notes or
yeah,
something.
it could be 5 notes, could be two chords, could even be one chord.
Dun-dun.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. You know, and something just, a fragment that you think, I can develop something from that, I can make something of that. And then you expand and develop it.
Okay, so you've got this like the heartbeat, I guess, and you're expanding on that.
Yeah, and it's a mystery. It's as much a mystery to me as it is to you.
And then, of course, you've got to make sure, as a composer, that you're producing a piece of work that matches what's going on screen, of course.
Yeah, it's a long journey from that idea to the finished score, and a lot of that journey is the marriage of the music with the images and the atmosphere of the film.
And how long how long did this one take to compose?
Beginning to end, including recording it, I guess was about 10 weeks.
Right,
But I mean, that
okay.
wasn't working, back to back every day. 10 weeks, 3 months, let's say 3 months. Norman and I shared some ideas early on. He gave me some ideas when we first met, which he liked. I threw some ideas back at him, some on the spot, stuff which I'd written before, and then other stuff which I developed specifically for the film.
Right.
And then, I sort of placed some of those on the rough cut we were working with,
Yeah.
and showed it to Norman, and some of them had traction, some of them didn't, and where there was traction, then I developed it some more, and we developed it organically that way, really.
So I guess, a bit of a stupid question this, but all along, because you're composing an integral part of the film, you're composing the music which is integral to the film. From the very start, Norman has to be there for every part that you're doing, because he needs to know exactly what you've got.
Yeah, a bit of each. I mean, you need to spend a lot of time with the director, but you want to have some time, on your own to sort of absorb what you think the director really wants and work on it. You don't want the director breathing down your neck the whole time. You want to have the opportunity to sort of take it away, regroup, think about it, develop it, and then take it back to the director.
Right, okay.
But it was a very close collaboration. It's very trite, but filmmaking is totally about collaboration. You're probably dealing with a director who doesn't have any sort of particular technical understanding of music. Norman doesn't claim to have that, but does have a real sensitivity to the way in which the music enhances the film.
And how did you come across each other? How did it start?
I was pitched to Norman just before he was going to appoint another composer whose identity I still don't know, by the way, and I don't particularly want to know.
John Williams, I think.
Yeah, I think it might have been. By my agent, ARG at the time.
Right.
And he had been talking to them because they were really mostly an actor agency.
Oh, right.
And he'd been talking to them about some of the casting. And they said, look, can you meet this composer? So he came, actually I think the following day, came up to my studio in Islington.
You got all lots of samples for him, of course.
Yeah, and we spent, a fair amount of time. He showed me some stuff which he liked. He talked to me about the film, which I thought was very interesting. I'd seen the script, actually, which I liked. And we took it from there, really. And he didn't mess around. He made a decision 2-3 days later.
Excellent.
And communicated that to me through my agent, I think. And we took it from there.
And I often wonder with composers if it's like writing a book. There's moments you just blank. You get the writer's block.
Yeah, totally. And those you've got to learn strategies to cope with those moments. And they're not always moments. Sometimes they're days. Sometimes they're weeks.
No.
So you have to just. And sometimes, by far the best thing, when you've been working on something, is to just take a break, leave it for half a day, go out, go for a walk, go and
play golf or whatever you do.
Do whatever you do, go for a swim in the pond or whatever, and then come back, and then you come back to it, and somehow it sort of falls into place a little bit better.
And how do you fall? I mean, I guess you've always been involved. That's your career, is music. But how do you fall into film composing? 'Cause that's quite unusual.
Well, it hasn't been my career, in fact, because although I read music at university at Cambridge, I didn't pursue a career in music, and I came back to it 5 years ago. So, my background in that sense is unusual. It means I haven't got 25 years of building up a network of contacts and 25 years of experience. On the negative side. On the plus side, as I haven't been jobbing it out for 25 years, I think what I'm doing now is fresher. I probably feel more passionate about it than I would be if I'd been doing it all that time. So coming back to it, so far has worked, but of course it's a real challenge building up the network you need to generate a flow of work.
So do you mind me asking why you went to that?
Yeah, I can answer that very specifically. I knew the writer of a film called Summer in February, which was produced by Cross Day Productions with Dan Stevens, Dominic Cooper, Emily Browning in it. And he introduced me to the producers. I worked with them for a while. It didn't work out in the end. I wasn't surprised. I had no experience. It was a £5 million film, but I learned a lot from it. And what I learned above all was that I really wanted to do this, and I thought I could do it. And no regrets about that. It got me interested in it. I really got the bug, and I've taken it from there.
So because of personal connection, that's how you kind of...
Yeah, I'd always had it in my mind. I'd always been interested in film music, and I always thought I could do that, actually. But it needed some catalyst to make it happen, and that was the catalyst. And then the next, the next key step after that, obviously, was meeting Norman. Yeah. And working on this, which was my first feature film. And
with a reason to leave. So obviously, it's in the can, as they say.
Yeah.
Do you ever look back and think, do you know what, this could have had more strings, or do you just not work that way?
It definitely could have had more strings with a bigger budget, that's true.
Yeah.
But do I look back and think I would do some of it differently? Not a lot. There were one or two things in the recording sessions which you think afterwards, well, I might have handled that session planned that session a slightly different way.
Yeah.
But the score, which the film has, I'm basically very happy with. There's probably a couple of things I do a little bit differently now, but this was only a couple of years ago. It's quite recent.
And how do you stop yourself? Because I'd imagine as a composer, it'd be very easy to listen to a piece by, I don't know, Bach or Mozart or whatever, and then I don't want to say be influenced by that, but suddenly that perhaps it does influence you. I don't know.
Yes, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously, and of course, what you're often given with films is you're given a whole temporary score of guide music, which is indeed music which has already been written by other established composers or film composers, and then you've got to somehow reimagine that, and it can be helpful. Sometimes it's actually quite tricky to work with guide music. With Norman, we didn't really use guide music in that way. We just had brainstorming sessions where I tried stuff out and sort of threw stuff at the film. Some of it stuck, some of it didn't, and we developed the score that way. So I wasn't given, as you are sometimes, a film with a whole score made up of music composed by other people. Personally, as a composer, I'd rather not work that way, and I think most composers would agree with that. But sometimes it's useful, and some editors, some directors like to work that way. And
the question I'm going to ask you, which is asked Norman, is the film is finished, you're seeing it for the first time in a proper theatre.
Yeah.
What's going through your head as the film is
unrolling? Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I mean, we saw a test screening we saw a screening in Delane Lee, so we have sort of seen it before, but this is the first public screening of that kind, and of course it's exciting. And I'm confident that it will be a good experience. Yeah, of course, it's great.
And of course now, I guess, just like Norman, now you've done it, you can never undo it, can you? I mean, this is it now, I guess.
It's not
this is your career.
No. I mean, there's no going back for me. I mean, this is absolutely what I want to do and build a second career. Okay, I'll give away the fact I'm in my 50s, but I reckon I can do this for 20, 25 years. Yeah. Keep myself quite fit, and I'm backing myself to build a whole second career, and I'm really passionate about it.
And is it a nice lifestyle?
Yes and no. I tell you the thing which is, I think, a problem for most people in a writing job, whether it's music, screenplays, books, whatever, it's very solitary.
Yes.
So it's nice to get out and about. It's nice to meet people like you, Steve, at a festival like this, and meet lots of people interested in films, because a lot of the time you're sitting in your studio and you don't get a lot of company.
No, I can kind of relate to that because I work a lot from home, mostly from home, and it's solitary.
Yeah.
So you do need to. I mean, I love it because I've got fantastic work-life balance.
Yeah.
But I do. Having said that, I'm looking forward to getting home because we've had a lot of festivals. But I know what you mean. I do get that. I mean, if you can live with that, which I can easily, because I've been in the office gig and I never want to go back to that.
Yeah.
You know. So I can understand. So what's next? Have you got anything else lined up?
Well, Norman's working on another film. I'll let him talk about that. Which obviously touch wood, I'll be doing that. Very much hope so. Norman, if you're listening, take note. And we've talked about that, and in fact, we've produced a teaser which I scored for him, which was a lot of fun. Yeah. Which you ought to look at.
I haven't seen this. It's the famous 2.5-minute teaser.
That's it. Yeah. I've also been talking to the producers of a Formula One, a drama set in Formula One in the 1960s.
Oh, right.
It's a really good script.
Cool.
I've read the script. It's a very high budget film. I mean, they're looking to raise about 50 million for it. So there's a mountain to climb. But anyway, they produced this very nice brochure with pictures of all the actors they're approaching and, really sort of top names and a big whole page spread of me. So I'm sort of thinking, well, that's nice. So let's hope that happens. And that would be really exciting, I think. And they've got, I've shared some material for it which they like and they're using in their marketing and fundraising, actually. So very early days, but I'm excited about that. Out there looking for stuff. I've talked to a couple of people here who've got projects which I think are quite interesting. So, yeah.
Really good.
Watch this space.
No, that's really good. Well done.
Thanks,
you very
Steve.
much.
Thanks for your support.
No, thank you. It's lovely.
You know you're not allowed to do that.
Do you know what the hardest part is? It's that I can't say goodbye to him.
The only thing I'd ever loved was gone for good.
I've just realised I don't even know your name.
It's Harry.
I'm Bethany.
I don't exactly have any plans for when I get there.
How would you like a new job? My mum owns this massive vineyard in Tuscany where she's staying, so I figured she could do the hand working the land.
Well, sure, why the hell not? Nice.
Nice coat. This one.
Why no one told me it could be like this outside the UK?
Years later, this place still takes my breath away.
To us.
Friends.
His name was Harry Webster. He worked for the pub for 15 years and he allegedly was desperate to fund his gambling problem and drinking habit.
What's he been a criminal?
He's a wanted man.
No, you never really cared for me.
Are you two sleeping together? Is that it?
He's married.
But so was Darren.
Who are you to tell me what to do?
Harry, please!
The thing about drowning is there is a point that you stop fighting it, you accept it, you let yourself sink.
Whatever your reasons for finally leaving are, I want you to know that you can stay here as long as you can work.
So I guess it's not really running away from your problems if you've got somewhere to go to, right?